There we go. So let's get this shared into here and share. Someone's trying to get on, but it's taking time. I'll add them in when they get here. Okay, right, so share. Why is not sharing? There we go. Okay, so there we go. So welcome to the SJF method, and hope everyone is good. And right, so far what we've sent over is you've got workouts done, and you've also got your nutritional welcome pack, and you should have meal planning and all these sort of things on there as well. And we've obviously had questions sent through, so this is kind of just to go through a little bit of like what to expect and to kind of get expectations set and all these things for the next 30 days. So one of the things this here, right, the reason you're not achieving what your goals is really to do with an ability problem. You are capable, which means it's more about the mindset thing, right? So it's more of a mindset problem than it is to do with not being capable of things. So whether it's like the minute there's like life gets too busy, or you miss a workout, yeah, the minute that like a workout's missed, or I'm just gonna have a setback, is the ability not to get back as soon as possible to moving towards your goals. So that's something that kind of needs to be changed throughout, and then recognizing what it is. Like, so for each single person, what's the mindset problem that could be shifted? So is it because you don't train consistently enough? Do you not move consistently enough? Do you stay up too late? Or, is it not dealing with setbacks? When you find these things out and you start kind of working through these and understanding that like you can do it, whether it's hard or not, and then how can you move that closer towards your goal? So how can you be able to show to yourself that you can do it, and you can do it again and again, and then not give up at the first opportunity? So like, how can you make it as easy as possible for yourself to get the results that you want? So whether it's meal prepping, so it's Sunday, have you meal prepped for Monday and Tuesday? It doesn't have to be a full week, but have we already got into the mindset of like, we want to make Monday as easy as possible, Tuesday as easy as possible? So bit of a timeline as well of just going through like what to expect from this as well. So at the start, we're setting individual targets and getting access to the program, the Facebook group, the WhatsApp group. Your workouts have been set up. Just let them in. Hello. So yeah, you'll all have individual goals and targets and shift patterns, and some will be on desk jobs and some are out busy bodies and do all these different things. So you've got to make them fit around what works for you. So if you're training at home or you're training in the gym, it doesn't really matter. I put workouts for you like a Monday and a Wednesday, or a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can move them around. The first part of it is these first 2 weeks is being consistent with your targets and using imperfect action. And with imperfect action, it doesn't mean like, so you don't have to go to the gym and be like, I'm going for an hour, right? Because if you've only got half an hour, you make that work. And if you're like at 8,000 steps and you're like, there's no way I'm going to get to 10, go for the 9. It doesn't like, it's about taking action that moves you closer towards your goal rather than just giving up completely. So when you're doing these things and you're trying to be consistent, consistency isn't 7 out of 7, like 7 days in a row you've hit every single target. Now that's great if you can do that, but consistency is 5. Like, you're doing it more times than not in the week. Like, consistency 4 times a week, the other 3, that's imperfect action. So It's how you can do that and move the needle closer towards your goals as well, and not feeling like you're failing. So if you miss a day, it's not the end of the world. The rule of two is if you miss on a Monday, you move things so you can do it on a Tuesday. And these are things that you build, and you get a better understanding of how people are not just turning up and doing like 7 out of 7 days and absolutely smashing it. It is that bit where you allow your body to rest, you train with intensity, you try and have less days when you're at 2,000 steps, 3,000 steps, 4,000 steps, that you're moving your floor. So rather than trying to get that ceiling to the next level, you're trying to raise your floor up. So that's one of the biggest things that you should be looking to do, is when you're setting your kind of non-negotiable and optimal goals, which I'm going to speak about a little bit later on, is you have these, like, for 30 days, like, can you commit to it? So I've had to write down some bits because I go off on tangents, right? But one of the things here that I've wrote down here is, like, if not now, when? Like, when are you going to do this? Like, it's a lot of these things are all learned skills, right? So, like, it's people don't wake up and they're like super positive and going to be like, I'm going to crush today and tomorrow and this and this. They just are consistent with their behaviours, and they've learned to turn it, kind of like try and go, right, okay, I managed to get 10,000 yesterday, and then I'm on 7,000 a day, right? Let's make it 8 or 9. Let's just push. Now, do they want to do that every time? No, but they're trying to raise that floor. So instead of giving up at 5 and being like, oh no, it's just because I've had a terrible day, it might not be what you want to do, but it's probably what you need to do, is by, like, whether it's going doing a little 15-minute workout, a half an hour workout, taking yourself out for a walk, going for a run, anything like this is something that you should kind of go and do that is going to move you towards your goals. Now, you have to be coachable, right? So this bit here, week 1, end of week 1, fill out the feedback forms. So I'll be sending the feedback form later on in the week to be filled out over the weekend, whenever you like, and ask some questions. There'll be questions on there. Fill out the form. I'll then send feedback to you individually on the Monday or Tuesday the following week. So yeah, a week tomorrow, I'll be doing this on Monday and Tuesday, because it allows me to be coachable. If you don't, it's making it harder for yourself. Like, there's no point being here if you're not going to be coachable. So you have to kind of go all in on it and be like fully like, right, okay, for the next 30 days, I'm going to be unbalanced in terms of this is going to be my focus because I want this result. Now, that doesn't mean be perfect. So I'll talk about that in a minute. After the first 2 weeks, I'm going to update all the workouts. And this is because, let me add this in. So after 2 weeks, we're going to freshen up the workouts. And this is for a few things, right? It's variety for the mind and stability for the body. Now, after 2 weeks, people get a bit like, oh, right, yeah, it was really good, and I was a bit motivated to start, and like, oh yeah, it's cool tracking on the app, and then, yeah, it's nice trying different things and stuff, and then it's like, right, okay, right, I need a bit of a change. So that's what we're going to do. So after 2 weeks, we'll keep what's needed. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We'll keep things that you really like, and we'll change things just slightly. So we'll maybe freshen up the core stuff, or we'll maybe, like, instead of lunges, we'll add a different movement pattern. Instead of like forward or reverse, or instead of squatting, we'll add a variety into that, and we'll mix it and match it and just freshen things up for you, so it just gives you that variety. After that, the next part of it's all about kind of building momentum and doubling down on that. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks, by fully committing yourself and kind of going into it and being like, I'm going to do the workouts, I'm going to show up, I'm going to do the steps, and then we can start going, right, double down on these things, like what's working really well for you, what do you need to keep doing, what can you kind of improve, and you can work on the mindset, that extra bit of accountability as we're needed. So the first 2 weeks is really about doubling down. It's about building in, is getting consistency with your targets, using imperfect action, the rule of two, and your non-negotiables, and then we're building and doubling down. Then we're doubling down on being consistent, and then working on, say, like your technique, your mindset, and your accountability towards it. Again, we need to be reflecting. So after week 3, we'll then do another kind of feedback form, How are you compared to day one? Which habit strategies has been most kind of helpful for you so far? Then into the kind of week 3 as well, we're going to do a little step challenge where we're going to aim to hit a step goal. So each person will commit to an individual target for the week. So let's say like you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to absolutely smash this week, 15,000 steps every single day. I'll then take that, times it by 7, add it to your list, do that for every single person, and we'll have a group total that we're going to go and get. So that means like if you do, say, fall short and you go 13,000 steps, we're going to try and pick up the slack elsewhere from other people. So as a group, we're going to try and achieve a big milestone, and then we'll do a nice review at the end as well. Let's focus on what's going forward, and then set new goals and targets and stuff like that as well. Again, like you want to know what's working, what do you need to stop doing, what do you need to keep, and what can you improve on. So when you're setting the foundations of this, right, these are the things that the bricks, right? This is what you want to be looking at. The behaviours, the goal setting, the flexibility, understanding, like you want to get some enjoyment from this, right? As I said on the welcome video, is if you're here to punish yourself and take everything out your diet and do double workouts and take carbs out of the body and all this sort of stuff, then you're in the wrong place. This is about you doing things and showing up for yourself, managing your expectations. Now, some of the numbers that people were sending over of how much like body weight they want to lose in 30 days, you need to kind of manage that expectations. But I've got a little bit about that later on anyway. So consistency, behaviours and consistency, imperfect action, environment. So again, if you're bringing snacks and stuff into the house, a lot of times on the feedback form, people were speaking about snacks. So snacks, questions that were sent in was to do with snacks as well. A lot of it's to do with your environment in terms of what you're bringing into the house, the environment you're putting yourself into by like going out for lunches and going out for teas, or going to the pub with your friends and expecting a different result, that sort of stuff. So you got to set your environment up to win. And now that might be when you go into the office and you tell people like, right, look, don't offer me snacks. Like if I ask for one, that's fine, but don't offer me them, and don't bring them in because you want to have them. I don't want to have them. I'm doing this. I'm committed to it. Like set your environment for success. And then it's about your identity as well, right? What person, like who do you want to become? Like you want to do these things for a reason. You're motivated or you wouldn't be here, right? So when people say like, I'm not very motivated, I need to be more motivated, you wouldn't be here if you weren't. So you do have a level of motivation, you just need to tap into that a little bit. Now the identity you want to be, are you heading in that direction now, or are you heading away from that? Are you miserable? Are you quite happy? Or are you just trying to like double down and make yourself feel even better after 30 days? That's what you're looking to do. And that comes down to the habits, right? So the habits is the next part of that, whereas like, where is your habits? What works well? What have you got already that doesn't really need to change? You don't have to work too hard at. So a lot of times people work too much at these, like the top levels of these triangles, where they're concentrating on what supplements they need to take, and how much rest should I have, how much intensity, what's the method, do I need a better method, like all this sort of stuff. How can it be more efficient when they're not doing any consistent behaviours and they're not doing the execution of it? So these things here we will work on, and your calories, protein, fibre, carbs, fats and satiety, that they were in the welcome pack as well. So like in the nutritional welcome pack, these things here, key, these two here, the carbs and the fats, each person's individually going to enjoy a little bit more of one or the other, right? So when you're trying to work it out, some might like a bit more carbs, some might not. Those who run might need a bit more carbs for the fuel, and some will need less. So it's just about getting a balance of these things. So what is consistency? Plenty of people say I'm all or nothing. Expectations, sign up and I'm going to do the next 28 days, 30 days, and I'm going to be perfect, right? Problem is, after 14 days, or that when they kind of get bored of working out and pushing themselves for steps, or when they realise that like, oh, it was fine to here, but then I had like a busy weekend and then that's it, then I didn't do anything. right? So it's great. These 2 weeks, you'll be feeling absolute class. By the end of here, you'll be like, what was the point? So that's where you need to bridge the gap between all or nothing, because like, if that's 100, there's your 50. So when you're doing the consistency, going from 50% to 75%, right? That's what life is, right? You'll have things on. We'll have like, you end up working a little bit too late. You end up sleeping in. Like, there's loads of different things that come in. You're a weekend away. You've got a night out. You're going to the cinema. Your kids have got school and you've been asked to work early. Little things all creep up. But if you can put in imperfect action and you do this consistently and you don't give up here and you don't give up here, then you get this one, and then you don't give up here, you get this one, and you do that and do it, and when you add all this up, it becomes 21, which then creates 75%, and that's where you can get a bit of consistency from. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but instead of being all in for 2 weeks, you then get the rewards of being in perfect action lined up with taking action as well. So non-negotiables and optimal, right? So most times when people think this is about to do with steps or with training, it also comes down to when you're eating out or if you're meal prepping as well. So optimally, you would food prep everything and it would all taste delicious, and you wouldn't have any snacks and you would just get to your goals, and that's not how it works. You've got to have like flexibility in there. When you're eating out, what's the optimal one? What's the next one that you're kind of like, right, okay, my non-negotiable is I'm going to have something that still tastes good and I value my food. So I want something that's good for the soul and also that's a good level of protein in it, and I want to have a bit of satiation in there. So I'm not just going to go for the biggest deep fried thing, have starters and sides and loads of drinks, and then not have any kind of boundaries on that. When non-negotiables come to steps and optimal, you're like, for some people it'll be 10,000, some people it'll be 12, but your non-negotiable might be 8 or it might be 10, depending on where yours is at. And you've got to make that commitment. Where's my non-negotiable? So when you're at 7,000, you're like, God, like, right, well, my non-negotiable was 8, so I'm going to go and get that, regardless, right? And then the optimal is, right, okay, if I do everything in my usual day, this is where I can get to optimal, right? And that's going to bring me a good return for my time and my effort. When it comes to training, some people put down that they're going to train 4 times a week. That'll be their optimal, right? 2 might be the non-negotiable. So you've got your 2, so you're like, right, I'm going to hit one on Monday, then I'm going to hit one on Wednesday, and then I'm going to try and get one on Thursday, and then one on Friday or Saturday. These are important, so have a non-negotiable, because the minute you say like I'm going to do 4 a week and you're like, right, okay, I'm going to do 4 a week and then blah blah, and that's non-negotiable. The minute you miss Monday, you miss Tuesday, you're not using the rule of 2, you miss there, then that means then you got to hit Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you're like, oh yeah, but I was going away to there, oh no, I'm not going to do it, and then you feel like you're failing. Oh well, what's the point? Right, okay. And then it's like, well, actually, I said non-negotiable, so I'm going to do a 15-minute workout instead. Right, tick the box. You know, then you do it that way. So optimal is that you'd have 20 meal prep boxes and someone's cooked it for you and it has the perfect macros. The chances of that, not very much. So your optimal for you might be that I cook 1 meal fresh every single day. Now for other people it'll be like my lunch and my dinner will be cooked fresh every single time, and then my snack will be a bit more processed, and then my lunch and my breakfast will be whatever I pick on that morning. So whether I'm having overnight oats or if I'm making eggs or if I'm having cereal, you know, it's you've got to find that balance between it all. So all or nothing and living life enjoyably. Sorry, just getting messages. So too many people spend their time in here, right? Sleep's not great, struggling to eat 5 foods of veg a day, tend to have binges quite often, sedentary lifestyle, there's little structure in there. So Still going from that zero to 100 because you're a perfectionist and it's the best move, even though it probably isn't realistic or sustainable for any long term. Maybe you've got family, kids, mortgage, full time, maybe all these, oh God's sake, go back. You just struggle with your lifestyle and nutrition. So lack of structure comes into all of this. Often when people are training, if you think like you have 2 weeks off over holidays and then 50 weeks of the year, a really good way of looking at training wise is if you do 50 weeks of the year. So if you can train for 50 weeks of the year, then you're in train twice a week. Then you can make great progress on that. So the problem is people go all in and they'll do 4 sessions, 5 sessions, 6 sessions, they'll burn out and then they won't do anything for weeks and then they'll do it again. And then when they add up in the year, it's about 25 sessions and they could have just done 2 sessions a week every week for 50 weeks and got better results. Most people are trying to get to this 100%, right? What does it look like? It looks like living like a professional athlete, right? And it's like go all in, and then they're burning out and all this sort of stuff, right? So it's, if you can get into boards here, I will send this over, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but yeah, if you can live in here, that's where you're trying to like improve your sleep, limit your binges, move more with purpose, and live life more enjoyably. You know, you can have a packet of crisps on a bit of chocolate if you fancy it, but it's when you're trying to go too much like an athlete that you end up here, you end up binging, and then you repeat, and you go into there, and then you get into this little valley of despair of just like, oh my God, right, okay, I need motivation again. Then you try and get up to here, level up here, and then you're like, oh, I'll just crumble back down to here, and you walk through the path that you've already done before a million times, and you're like, because it's a path well known, so you go through this little self-sabotaging behaviours, and you go and do it again. So if we can get into here, that 50-80%, perfect. So when I said about the 75% for the imperfect action, this is kind of what I'm talking about. Low-hanging fruit. Every single person in here all have low-hanging fruits. Some people will be limiting alcohol, going to bed earlier, snacking, portion control, movement with purpose, all these things. You want to attack what is best for you. So if you're like, oh, I sit at a desk all day and I don't move, and by the time I finish at night, I just have no motivation to go out and walk, right? Get it done early. So absolutely, your low-hanging fruit is you do not move enough. Oh, but I can't, I've got kids in the house. Get up early, get a walk pad, buy a treadmill or something like that from Marketplace and get your steps in. Like, there's a way around it. It's whether it's just not committing to it. Like, you're capable of doing it, you're not committing to that. Now, I know it sounds like, oh yeah, but it's an investment in you. So like, I know a walk pad or whatever can be like £100 odd, but what's the cost of not doing it? You'll be in the same position in a year's time, signing up for countless other things and still feeling rubbish. Snacking comes into your environment and not setting boundaries as well. So a question to ask is often like, when was the last time I didn't have a snack? What is the second snack bringing? What is the second snack going to do that the first one didn't? And what are you trying to solve by having the snack as well? So is it because you're not prepared that you're coming home, you've got to make tea, that you're having 3 or 4 snacks? Is it because you're bored and you're sat and watch telly, you're scrolling your phone, and you're sitting in the same chair, watching the same telly, in the same position, and you're just a pure habit of doing it? So do you need to change your environment? Do you not have to bring them snacks? Do you need to change the snacks that you are having in there? Sleep. Are you staying up too late that then you're not getting enough time to recharge your batteries, that then when you're getting up in the morning you're already exhausted? So maybe you need to set some form of structure with your sleep where you're setting yourself up to have the best routine to feel more energized in the morning, that you can maybe get up and go for a walk or do your workout, etc. So portion control, if you set no boundaries, again, that's where it's going to be really difficult, because if you're just like going back for seconds, all the licks, the bites, the eats, the treats, and the big serving sizes, you can use like the rule of like a palm size bit of protein, your carbs, like, so you've got your fruit, your carbs in your hand, and then 2 bits of veg, and then your fats is your thumb. So that's an easy visual that you can use. And then when you're thinking about snacks here, hunger management, right? So when you look at the satiation index from the nutrition manual, it has the satiation index, which tells you foods that are low in satiation and higher in satiation. So a lot of times people snack too much is because they have too much of these ones, where they're very moreish, high calorie, low in volume. Whereas if you can snack on things that are low calorie, higher in volume, or lower in calorie, more filling, that's where you're going to get more bang for your buck. So sometimes, it might take a wee minute, prep something that's going to give you more value than something that's quick and convenient. Now, one of the things that I put into the nutritional pack was about the pausing. So if you're away to go and have the chocolate, the sweets and the crisps, it's about having that pause, and it's pause, right, what am I wanting from it? Now you don't have to, I know it sounds, it's a skill, like it's a learned skill, you have to it takes time and patience and consistent effort to become better at this. Now, you're not saying I'm never having the sea salt and Chardonnay crisps from the Co-op because they're fucking delicious. I'm never having them again. It's just like I'm not having them now because I want this outcome. Now, the problem with not pausing is you have one, and then before you even stop to register it, you've kind of like mindlessly scoffed it, is you end up having another one, and then you go, oh my god, I barely even remember having that, like a whole packet of biscuits are gone, or something else is gone, and you're not registering, you're not even being mindful or patient or present, you don't know the taste. And like chocolate's good for the soul, crisps are good for the soul, you eat cakes when you remember people's birthdays and stuff like that, so like there's a time and place for these things, but the problem is people just go and scoff them, rather than thinking like, oh, I'm going to go and scoff a cake on a random Tuesday. You want to be like, well, I'd rather have a cake with my friend who's going through a hard time, and we're going to sit and have a coffee and a cake and listen to it, or we're going to celebrate this kid's birthday and be able to enjoy it. There are certain occasions, like that's when it can be a great thing to have, but when you're just like mindlessly doing it and it's all good, we'll move on. So expectations. When you are at a certain weight and you're losing weight, so let's say I've gone from here down to here, I've lost 3.5 pounds, I could have been heading towards there, so there's actually a 7 pound difference. So you might not be where you currently want to be, but you're making a difference of being on the right path to the wrong path, right? That's where the difference is. So that difference there is 25,000 calories, right? So like you always got to manage your expectations of like the patterns and behaviours that you were doing were heading one way, and then now you've changed that and it's heading a different way. So you're not only just like making the changes to go from here to here, you're also making the difference of this as well, of where you were heading. So you've got to understand that like all the things in the habits that you've been building up were taking you to a place where either you didn't want to go and needs to change, and you're trying to stop that and also make improvements. So don't be disappointed with the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. Now this is so important, because the amount of times then people say they want the program because they think the program's going to solve them. They're like, oh, I want you to tell me this, and they want more information. Information without application is pointless. If you can have these workouts, and I've spent all the time we're doing all these workouts and stuff and setting them up and talking about, say, there's meal plan structures and examples on there. If you don't meal prep, you don't try out different recipes, if you don't say no, don't pause, don't take action, don't try and add in some structure, and don't go to bed early and all these sort of things, you're not going to get the results. And if you don't do these things, you can't be disappointed with the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. If you apply yourself, you'll get the results. So, low intensity here. So when you're training, you want to look at the kind of intensity on this, right? So this is 80 kilograms for 8 reps, relatively easy. You can see there's the intensity, it's not too bad, it's nice for a warm up, a back off set. Good for focus on technique and activation, but I'm not really pushing to failure. This is now 100 kilos for 4 reps, and you can see the difference, higher effort, taking closer to failure. You want to be within 3 reps of failure, so you can see the difference there on how hard I'm having to work there. This is maximising the muscle fibre recruitment and mechanical tension to key drivers of your muscle failure, or muscle growth. It requires a longer effort between sets, so that's always to kind of keep in mind that you want to do. It's almost like it's moving through treacle. So if I play this again, you can see the tension as it's going through. It's much slower. It's like a much more effort versus the last one. You can see there's just so much more in the tank there. So that's always keep in mind when you're training, is that you want to have the effort that it's moving through treacle. Okay. So questions on here about portion control and eating relatively well for dinner, but portion control is out of control. A lot of times, yeah, that's dealing with what you're putting on your plate straight away. So if you're just like serving and just go up and do what you want, or often what I do is like you have it all cooked up and then you portion it for like meal prep for the next day, so it could be lunches or for tomorrow's tea. So that's a good way to do it. Strategies for combating evening snacking, I kind of went through that a little bit already. If you're sitting at a desk and you're making it available for yourself, like you've got to either just snack on something. If you're doing like the 3-1 method, or you have like a cut-off time, so you're like, right, okay, well, that's, I know it's like say trying to keep you awake, but you're, by saying like mainly trying to keep you awake, is you're almost giving yourself an out for doing that as well. So it's kind of like, yeah, but like I need to have a snack to do that, and it's like, well, have you tried not doing that? Or like maybe you need to like have like some form of like calories or a limit that you can go, well, I'm going to allocate for that, so you don't have the guilt attached to it. So you're kind of like, right, okay, I'm going to allocate like 300-400 calories of snacks for at night, so I can have them and not feel that way. So that might be a useful way of doing it. I don't know what this is. Did I draw on that? Don't know where that's came from. Yeah, so like maybe like allocating like a bit of a budget for that as well. It's a difficult one, because you probably have to structure your day around knowing that that's going to be the case, where you might actually have to have a meal before you go down and sit at the desk working at night. So you kind of have to like move your day. So like breakfast becomes a little bit later, lunch becomes a bit later, your tea becomes a little bit later, and do it that way. Crisps, I obviously love crisps as well. Possibly addicted. Strategies for breaking the cycle is you've got to kind of create a gap between it. And the problem most people have is, one, they bring it into the house and they can't remember the last time that they didn't have snacks, or once they're you almost have to like prove to yourself that you can go a few days without having snacks, and show like, right, okay, like what is it I'm trying to get from the snack, and right, whatever yours is, because the snacks you love is the sensation, it's what it's given you, so it's that hit of dopamine, so it needs to be replaced with something else. Now, going for a walk isn't going to be the same hit as having the crisps, but it's probably what you need. So it's trying to replace, when I feel like I'm going to do that, what tools have I got in my locker that I can use as a strategy to cope with if I'm stressed. I can't just reach for crisps every time. I can sometimes, but not every single time, because I'll then end up in a worse position than I am. But to break strategies, either you need to create a bit of distance between it. You've also got to understand, like, slow it down and actually eat it and taste it. And then when it drops, say like taste sensation starts off at a 10, the minute it hits like a 7 or a 6, you can go, right, that's hard enough, and I'm going to put it away. Or you can take a handful of what you want, leave it in another room, and you can always go back. Like, that's fine. Like, you have unconditional permission to have whatever you want, but you have to understand it's in different frequencies to get different outcomes in different like it can be enjoyed at different amounts. So sometimes you will have the big massive bag, but you could also equally enjoy like a couple of handfuls. And I think like understanding that will make it a lot better and a bit more of an enjoyable experience as well. I'm just going to check on here. Oh, that's it. Right, let me just see if I can stop sharing this. Right, cool. And so does anyone want to ask any questions? Just got a couple of minutes left. If not, it'll be all good. I think I've covered most things anyway. But I'm going to post this up into the group, and yeah, if anyone has anything else that they want to add or ask, we'll obviously do another one of these. Glad it was helpful, and yeah, got loads of things to cover over. Like it's day one, and it's not all to be solved by today. Like if no one's prepped now, you've got plenty of time to go and do it before you go to bed. But no, other than that, look, it should be an enjoyable experience. You've got workouts to do. You'll get out of it what you put in. That's the biggest thing. Got to be coachable. What else did I put on here? Because I've actually didn't even look at this. A bit close the gap. Yeah, it was like it's easier to sabotage and go through the same path you already know. Or procrastinating as well, because you think it'll become easier tomorrow, but it's not. So we need to get the work done. So yeah, don't put off things for tomorrow that you can do today, and then don't wait till later. Like think of yourself as you're going to be most charged in the morning. Go for it, attack the morning, and make the most of it, and then just be adaptable. Other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I shall answer any questions and speak to you all over the next week. Goodbye. Thank you.